how to write a great paper for English class. Some gifted students even have problems with this. Why? Because the task is ill-defined. So this talk will define the task. We'll give you the steps, the flow chart. It won't make it easy, but at least you'll know the steps. The first step to writing a great paper for English class is to know a great deal about the techniques of fiction. The more you understand how stories work, and the many subtexts and complexities and structures within them, the easier it will be to write something interesting. So, have you learned anything in class? See if you can apply what you've learned in your paper. Next, easy, read the book. And if you want to write a great paper, reread the book. And while you're reading, observe things. Identify the themes. This is often very easy because the author will often help you see what the themes are, because the themes are big, they should be obvious. So if your book is titled Pride and Prejudice, you may guess that that's the theme. Or if your book is titled War and Peace, or Crime and Punishment, or The Scarlet Letter. Now, the Scarlet Letter, it does reflect the theme, but it's a symbol that symbolizes the theme. Moby Dick also is not only a big white whale, but he's also a symbol. So if you identify what the symbol is, then you will know the themes of those books. So look at the title, look at the big pattern. What is the story about at its most general level? That's the theme. And there will be three typical themes. One of them will usually predominate in your book. There's man against man against himself, and man against nature. And your theme will be in one of those categories. So you've read the book, you understand it pretty well. Next, you need to get an idea for your paper. I made a separate podcast on getting ideas for English papers, but I'll summarize that podcast here. I'm going to give you 14 general ideas that will work for any book, almost any book you're reading in English class. You can use one of these 14 ideas, and there you have it. You will have your paper topic. So here they are. Compare and contrast two characters with respect to a shared characteristic relating to the theme of the book. Compare and contrast two motives of two characters who aim at the same objective, such as a love triangle. Compare and contrast two moral attitudes exemplified by two characters. This is great for Dickens, but many other books will work also. For example, one character's moral attitude toward money, compared and contrasted with another character's moral attitude toward money. Here's another one. How a character seems to other characters in the book with how the character actually is. How well a character knows himself compared to what he actually is. How well a character matches a symbol or an allusion with which he is compared. An allusion is a reference to something else. So if a character is compared to Julius Caesar, why is this allusion apt? How two characters or groups treat a character. How two characters relate to the theme. You can also compare and contrast how the story presents a character with how the character actually is. So the character may be presented as a villain, but the character may not actually be very villainous, or may be presented as a hero, but may not actually be very heroic. You can also compare and contrast two related fates, the fates of two characters, how they end up. One character ends up in the poorhouse, the other in a palace. Is this apt? Is it ironic? Is it absurd? Amoral? Compare and draw a conclusion. Now these ones are going to be a little bit harder usually, but these are also excellent paper topics. Compare and contrast two symbols. Compare and contrast two related scenes. So two scenes in the book where the text indicates that there's a comparison that the author is making, a connection that the author is making between two scenes. Write something about a minor character. How does the minor character relate to a symbol? Or a minor character relate to another minor character? Or how does the minor character relate to the theme? Or how does the minor character relate to a main character? How does the character function in the plot? How does the character expand on the theme? You can also compare and contrast two theories about something odd or distinctive that you notice in the text. Now, to write a great paper, go through that list of 14 ideas and apply each one to your book until you find one that allows you to write something interesting or insightful, something that isn't obvious, something that the other students in the class might not notice. And it will also help if the subject is interesting to you. If it's interesting to you, there's a good chance it will be interesting to others because we all share human nature. Now, if you want to go all the way to possible publication of your paper, don't say I don't encourage you, I do encourage you. Consider something like an analysis of the statistical frequency with which similes appear in Flaubert's Madame Bovary. If you write that paper, send it to me. Let's go back, though, to the basic but often effective compare and contrast paper. So you have your idea for your paper, your great paper. Now you look in the book for relevant facts that can be compared and contrasted toward a conclusion. You must take the facts and discuss them, use them in an argument, develop the facts toward a conclusion, present contrary views in the strongest terms you can, and show why your interpretation is interesting or successful. For example, you have a character who thinks he knows himself, but he doesn't. So you show what he thinks he is. Then you show what he really is. Then you show how this character flaw leads to the climax, or to the tragedy, or to the comedic resolution, or to an ironic result. Now, not everything will be always clear. There could be different interpretations of the same facts. Address those interpretations. Don't minimize the opposing viewpoints. For example, there may be different interpretations as to who the character really is. For example, Hamlet. This is a famous one. Is Hamlet insane, or is he only pretending to be insane? If you want to write that paper, you can join the 1,000 other papers on the same topic. But there are differences of interpretation, and you have to look at those other interpretations and clarify with an argument why you're going to choose the interpretation you're going to choose. So you develop the facts into an argument toward a conclusion. Okay, now you have some notes about the facts you found to support both sides of the compare and contrast, and you see a conclusion you can draw from them. Now you start writing the paper. Now, when you write, you want to at least appear to be educated. So have a grammar book. Don't make common mistakes that expose you. It's would have, not would of. Have, H-A-V-E. It's has no apostrophe when possessive. It apostrophe S means it is. And so on. Don't make these common mistakes. Now we're ready to begin. You know how to write grammatically? Now we're ready to begin. I'm sorry, but you have to write grammatically to get a great paper. So, when you start, I'll make it really easy, because usually you will write the introduction last. So your first job, very easy, is to skip the introduction. Why do you write the introduction last? because your ideas may develop as you write the paper, so don't double your work. The first thing you're going to write is your topic sentence, and the topic sentence will be the last sentence of your introductory paragraph. So you're going to write your topic sentence, and here it is. This paper compares and contrasts, fill in the blank, and shows, fill in the blank. So this paper compares and contrasts, you say what you're comparing and contrasting, and shows the conclusion that you're going to draw from that compare and contrast. And you don't put a comma before and shows, because you're not joining independent clauses. So, for example, let's say you're writing a paper about the Scarlet Letter. This paper compares and contrasts the Reverend Dimmesdale's knowledge of himself with the man he actually is, and shows that his increasing self-knowledge leads to the revelation at the scaffold. Let's say that will be our example topic sentence. You write that first. Now you're into the body of your paper. You have your notes that have put forth your compare and contrast, and you're going to marshal those facts into an argument. So, in our example, let's say you're going to present and discuss the facts that show that Dimmesdale doesn't know himself very well. Where are his blind spots? How does the reader know he has blind spots? Are there other possible interpretations? Does he actually know himself, but he hides this knowledge from himself? Does he pretend not to know himself so he can live with himself? Now, maybe you found a better topic. Maybe you found a better paper. This will often happen as you write. Allow it to happen. Maybe your better topic will be to compare two possibilities. Does Dimmesdale not know himself? Or does he pretend not to know himself so he can continue to function as a minister? But let's go back to the original idea. So you're going to show why Dimmesdale doesn't understand himself, why you can tell that he doesn't understand himself. And then you discuss who Dimmesdale actually is. And then you show how the plot develops from this flaw to lead to the revelation at the scaffold. Now you write your concluding paragraph. You restate what you've shown, how Dimmesdale's increasing self-understanding leads to the revelation at the scaffold. And then you broaden this. So you make your conclusion that's specific to your topic, and then you broaden that conclusion. For example, you could write that Dimmesdale's lack of self-understanding is only one of his flaws, but it is one of the key flaws that leads to the conclusion. And now you broaden that more. You generalize. Character flaws drive the plots of many stories, from Shakespeare to Hawthorne. The flaw creates an instability, a disorder, that the story resolves in accord with truth and nature. So you generalize, you broaden when you end. And then you go back and you finish your introductory paragraph. You start with something general and you narrow to your topic sentence. That you've already written the topic sentence, now you just have to be broader and narrow to that topic sentence. So it would be something like, a person's inaccurate self-understanding can lead to absurd situations, problems, and sometimes even tragedy. Now you narrow to the book. Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter provides an example of the crisis that can result from a character's increasing realization of the person he really is. And then you get to your topic sentence, let's say. This paper compares and contrasts the Reverend Dimmesdale's knowledge of himself with the person he actually is, and shows that his increasing self-knowledge leads to his revelation at the scaffold. When you broaden or generalize from your topic or from your conclusion, you'll often generalize in one of these standard ways. So I'm going to give you how you can do it, where you're going to always, where you can always end. You can broaden to say that other books are like this too. You can say that this illuminates human nature. But it's better even to say something like your conclusion, how it contributes to forming an abstract structure, such as Aristotle's 4 stages of the story, or the Fichtean curve, or some other pattern that many books share. Maybe the book twists one of these conventions, and that would be an interesting conclusion, an interesting broadening. an interesting observation that you broaden out from your conclusion. Or you might want to broaden to the theme, how what you've observed contributes to a deeper understanding of the book's theme, expands on the theme, or shows the theme from another side. So, I hope this helps. If it does, you can thank me, yes, by reviewing my novel at Amazon, or by reading it. How about that? All the best. This is Orlando Bartro, Orlando Bartro, Orlando Bartro, author of Toward Two Words, Toward Two Words. Toward Two Words is available at Amazon for $4.91. At least that's what it is now. Consider reading it. Orlando Bartro, Toward Two Words. It's a fantastical tale of a man lost in a mansion of left turns who finds yet another woman he never knew. Toward Two Words. Consider reading it because you might like it.